Hey y'all, Billy from Perma Pastures Farm. Alrighty, 1 little, 2 little, 3 little, 4 little, 5 little pigs. If you've watched us for any period of time, you know that we used to have 6 pigs. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. Go back and watch that video, you'll find out why they were named that. Pretty cool information, especially with all the disinformation going around these days, so you want to check that video out. Okay. We've done a video before with dealing with death on the homestead. Oh, here they are. You hear them? That's the nuts they're eating, those acorns and everything else. But anyway, I digress. A while back, we did a video concerning, how to deal with death on a homestead. In fact, we've talked to a number, and you can probably find that video up there as well. We've talked to a number of other people in this homesteading world and this homesteading lifestyle. Renewed Homestead, along with Jason from Sow the Land, and some others, Strand Farm. We were talking with them how they deal with death. Now, in that case, it had to do with death that is caused by us when we process, okay? But there's another one out there, and it's the one, honestly, that no matter how long I do this, it never gets easier to deal with, and it's accidental death, or death you can't explain, or death by neglect, whether you knew it or not. In this case, we had, before we moved them into this little paddock here, we had 6, of course, and my second best one died. Now, here's how he died. I'm not going to show you any pictures or be graphic or anything like that, but there's a point I'm getting to here. On the side of this mountain, it doesn't look so bad right here. We're at a low spot, but there are times when they're going up stuff like this. I don't know how. We weren't even here when it happened, but somehow my second best pig somehow got out of there, wound up laying there when we got back. It may have been hours later that we even discovered him. He's sitting there, and we lifted him up, and believe it or not, he had a broken femur. Now, how you break a femur in a pig, I do not know. But I guess when you fall down a hill or a cliff like this, there's a whole lot of things that can happen. Anyway, he had a broken femur, and so it meant we had to dispatch him. Now, for those that wonder, when an animal's in that kind of pain and stress, I don't need it. Now, the best thing you can do for it is make dog food out of it, or even chicken food for that matter. But folks, especially those of us that are old hands at this know that this sort of thing's going to happen. You're going to have a freak accident where a cow busts a leg. You're going to have a freak accident where chickens die. And a lot of times, honestly, every loss that I've ever had of a chicken was 100% preventable. Any kind of predator loss was 100% preventable, at least in the world where I live. But you're going to have those things, y'all. And this goes right back to that preparedness mindset that 2 is 1 and 1 is none. So in my case, 6 is 5, 5 is 4, you get the point, Now, these pigs, by and large, I'm not just raising them for us. One of these goes to the modern yeoman, Sean, the modern yeoman. 2 of them go to Justin, 2 of them go for us. And I had one left over for plans that I had to donate, possibly to a church or some families up and down this loop that probably need the meat. Well, that ain't going to happen, so I'm going to find out other ways and, other things to go around. But folks, when you raise animals, you want to make sure you got some in tow for crazy things like that, because they are going to happen. And then when you're in extreme environments like we are, the likelihood of an accident happening goes up that much more. Let's not also forget that not everything is going to be catastrophic. There will be those times where an animal can heal. Now, a lot of times that's the case with the chickens. Maybe they get sick for a while. Maybe you can doctor them back. There are times where it's just a bruise like this. The smallest one in there was sitting there limping for a couple of days. Oh, okay, well, probably got horse play and whatever going on in there. Well, 2 days later, didn't have to isolate her, but 2 days later, she started coming around, and then I gave them even more minerals in the form, in my case, this is what the solution was, put a little more kelp into their food that I feed them, and also gave them a lot more charcoal, and guess what? Back in the saddle. She was ready to rock and roll. So there is a difference between illness and something that requires you to put that animal down. So you're going to have to figure out what those are. But folks, this is the part that when you look at something like that, there's that pit in your gut that you just can't reconcile. You're like, my goodness, how did this even happen? But they are going to happen. That is part of the realities of this life. But you don't give up. There are people that I've known that have had a couple of losses and said, all right, that's it. I'm done with this homestead life. And I wish they hadn't, but to a certain extent, I'm glad they did. At least you found out early on that this wasn't for you, because those things happen. But when they do, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps and just realize and just get in your head before you ever do this that these things are going to happen. But like us and like everybody else, you figure out, okay, what not to do next time sometimes. And then you find out, hey, you know what? This was just a freak thing. I'm just going to pick it up and drive on. But that's really the key to this whole lifestyle, y'all. It's taking those tough spots, because it's not always the highlights that you see in homesteading and a lot of homestead channels, even this one included. And I'm trying to get better at showing you the negative sides and the downsides to all of this. But remember, at the end of the day, even on the tough days, I know that I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And so can you. Folks, this stuff isn't hard to do. It can be tough to do sometimes. Some people even suffer with burnout. But you stay at it. And if your heart's in it, you'll follow. You'll get it done. So remember, at the end of the day, y'all, if this lifestyle is for you, go for it. If not, then do something else. In other words, like I always say, get loose or get lost. Go find something else that does move you. Remember, if you need anything, folks, check out the description box below. Check us out on the website. Check us out on Patreon. We do a lot of wonderful things over there as well. Till next time, this is Billy from Perma Pastures Farm, where permaculture is my passion. We'll see you next time.